Howdy there. So it's been a few days, but I saw Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in 3D in the theater. And it was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I've seen it several times. I don't even know what number this is. Maybe, I don't think I've seen it more than 10 times, but I mean, definitely somewhere in the realm of 7 or 8. I saw it twice in the theater, originally, back in 1999. I was one of those guys who, you know, stayed outside all night and, you know, waited in line and never left the theater and saw it at midnight. And, yeah. You know, there were Jedi and Sith fighting in the parking lot with plastic lightsabers. It was an experience I'll never forget, and, you know, I wouldn't trade it. I'm glad I stayed up all night, but, you know, I wish the payoff could have been a little more rewarding. Okay, let's see. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace is about. Okay. Trade Federation. It's basically, you know, sets up the whole basis for the Star Wars saga, particularly the next 2 movies. Let's see. Trade Federation has blocked shipping, not permitting, you know, anything in or out from a planet called Naboo. The Galactic Senate, you know, needs to figure out what's going on. They need to solve this problem. They need to send in some Jedi. Everything really falls apart from there. They basically, they don't discover, but they unintentionally stumble upon a, you know, centuries-old plot by the Sith to take down the galaxy. They, you know, and basically have a, you know, a war in the stars while trying to find a Phantom Menace. Again, the story is part of a larger story, so it's kind of complicated. And again, this is Star Wars, so most likely if you're watching this, you have seen the film. Stars Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, lots of people. Ian McDiarmid, Natalie Portman, Jake Lloyd, Terrence Stamp, who else is in there? Frank Oz, Samuel L. Jackson, lots of people, you know, Star Wars. I don't know if I've said this. I always try to get it in right away. I think I'm going to give it a 7. You know, I've got to give it a 7. It's, you know, amazing. The production value leaves nothing to be desired. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. You know, the costuming is amazing. The special effects are amazing. Everything you see in the film is amazing. Everything you hear in the film is so-so. You know, it's kind of like, you know, there was a lot of times where I was just kind of like wincing to get through it. You know, my basic problems with Phantom Menace are why I'm not giving it a higher score than a 7. One is the writing. You know, it's flat, you know, it's kind of stale, it's only occasionally exciting, and only occasionally tense, you know, only occasionally adventurous, you know, nothing compared to the original Star Wars trilogy, the 70s, 80s trilogy. In a nutshell, I think what was missing from the prequel trilogy is Lawrence Kasdan. You know, Lawrence Kasdan is one of the first names in the credits on every single one of the original trilogy. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. You'll see Lawrence Kasdan, you know, right away. And you don't see Lawrence Kasdan at all in the prequel trilogy. So I've always wondered why. You know, why didn't he want anything to do with it? You know, as far as I'm concerned, the original trilogy is just as much of Lawrence Kasdan as it is George Lucas. So I really, really wish, I mean, I don't know much about Lawrence Kasdan other than, you know, he's a golden age of Hollywood, you know, basically a giant of show business. I don't even know if he's still living, but I don't know why he didn't have anything to do with the prequel trilogy. I think if he had, then it would be a different story. And, you know, whatever, I'm getting off track. The storytelling, you know, is flat. You know, it's kind of dull. So that's one big thing. The other big thing is sometimes the acting. You know, a lot, like, there are entire performances that I don't really understand. And again, like, a performance is honed by the actor and the director. So I assume that, you know, the actors gave plenty of options, you know, I'd hope, or that, you know, and just George Lucas selected what he wanted, or maybe that there was, you know, some other, you know, meaning behind the performances. Natalie Portman's performance in this entire film is strange to me. I don't get it. You know, it's very emotionless. A lot of her dialogue sounds hollow, wooden. You know, I don't get it. You know, even when she's supposed to be, like, happy or, you know, laughing, there's just some element of artificiality to it. You know, and again, I realize I'm saying this about Natalie Portman, and Natalie Portman is such a fantastic actress. So it's just so strange about what happened with her in this film. And also, and this pretty much goes for the entire prequel trilogy, Samuel L. Jackson's performance, you know, I don't really get as Mace Windu. I don't know, he kind of just seems like an arrogant prick all the time. And with everything he says, I think could be, like, followed with, duh. You know, I mean, not like other characters saying, but he's saying it, like, with that attitude. You know, like, seriously, after any line he says, yourself go, duh, and it would, you know, kind of fits. There's, but lots of other strange acting throughout the film, and I don't, I don't get it. You know, I don't get it, why they wanted it to be that way. It's just very strange at some points. You know, Jake Lloyd as the young Anakin Skywalker. You know, he's a kid, so I don't blame him too much. But I don't know, some of the thing, and again, he has so much kind of dumb shit to say. You know, I'm sure he did his best with it. But some of the times it's just like, you know, it's about the 3D. Again, this is 3D. It's converted into 3D. I usually don't like to see films that have been converted into 3D. I think if you're going to shell out all that money to see a 3D film, it should be, you know, conceived, shot, filmed in 3D, where this was not. But Lucas, I think, well, one, has all the money in the world and, you know, is always at the forefront of technology to make it the best. And this is by far the best conversion I've seen. It honestly really looked flawless. I don't know if it added so much to the story. Lucas has a philosophy I agree with in 3D, where he doesn't want things coming out of the screen. You know, he sees the screen as, I think it was what he called the proscenium, which is basically the front of the stage, the proscenium arch. And he thinks everything should go in, giving it a level of depth. Things shouldn't come out, swipe over the audience, whatever, but they should go in. I also noticed this recently with Pina. Pina did the same thing with its 3D. It did not come out at you, it went in, like very deep in. Same here. Now, I can't say that it added, too much, but I will say that, I appreciate it. It looked, again, everything you look at in this film is amazing. It's technically proficient and technically just gorgeous. So much color, just vibrant. It looks really good. Just definition of eye candy. What was I going to say? Crap, I lost it. Oh, I was about to make a point, believe it or not. Crap. Okay, it goes in. Oh! It added something to the action sequences. It added something to the film to give it the depth and, those big epic battle scenes. But I will say this. When they were in space, whenever they're in space, whenever they're showing like a space battle, dogfight, what have you, and the background is the stars, that is amazing. My jaw was open. It just felt like I was there. And there's action going on everywhere. You're in space, everything's going, every which way, and there's so much action going on. It just looked amazing. There were so many levels, and you could just, again, I felt like I was, there and floating and being able to look anywhere I wanted to look. I guess just because space is, space is near, practically infinite space, and so it can go forever, and it really felt like that. So I thought that was, pretty cool. I don't know if I've seen 3D in space yet. So it looked really, really good. And I really, really appreciated the 3D when they were just out in the middle of space. I'm almost running out of time. The performances are all, good. Liam Neeson does a good job as a Jedi. They're Jedi, so they have to be kind of flat, emotionless. My favorite thing about the film, hands down, is my favorite character of the saga, which is Darth Sidious. You get a lot of good Darth Sidious in this film, and he's played by Ian McDiarmid. You gotta get a good heaping dose of Darth Sidious. Darth Maul is also cool. This is the first time that I've seen CGI Yoda version. I think there were like little differences. Of course, Lucas messes with everything. But I think this was slightly different than what was released in '99 or even on DVD. It feels that way, at least. There were pieces that I didn't remember. I thought some scenes might have been shaved a little bit for time. Again, this is a Yoda CGI. In the original, Yoda is a puppet. Here he's replaced entirely with CGI. Looked really good. So I think with the 3D conversion, they went back in and, messed with some stuff. So I guess we're going to get yet another, saga released to get our money someday. But I felt like there were some differences. Just little shades of pieces. So whatever, I had a good time. I honestly saw a movie right before this and was like, oh man, I'm going to go see Star Wars. So, even though it's a 7 and even though it's the Phantom Menace, one, it's not the Clone Wars, so be grateful for that. But, it it's still Star Wars, so it still makes that child, in me very happy. And of course, Lucas is always quick to defend, to say that, his films are made for 10-year-old boys. So if you're not a 10-year-old boy and, you're sitting there complaining about the film, well, you're not the target audience. It's not made for a 40-year-old. It's made for a 10-year-old. So looking at it as a 10-year-old, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So there's not a 10-year-old in the world who wouldn't, say this was, fantastically awesome. So, it is what it is, and it's Star Wars. So I'm definitely out of time. So that's Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in 3D, in the theater, and I'll give it a 7, just because, of the great technical and beautiful aspects of everything you see, and then you have the low aspects of everything you hear, and I'll balance it out with a solid 7. So I don't know if it's worth the money to you to go see it in the theater in the 3D, but I will say that the 3D was spectacular. Again, for eye candy, it doesn't get much better. So there you go. That's The Phantom Menace, and it's a 7. Thank you.